Hey guys, what is up? Vero here. So I wanted to do another rating video and continue the series. This will be number 4 in the series. So I wanted to discuss loot and kind of figuring out the best loot system for your guild and your team and all that stuff, kind of the pros and cons of each. These are kind of my personal pros and cons. First, we're going to go over the different loot types that there are. I'm going to just mention the main 4 ones that people use. There are plenty of others. So let's get started. Number 1, the basic system of, you could always use need before greed, but there's also just a /roll where a piece of loot drops. The loot distributor person master guy, dude man bro, links it in chat, and then everybody that wants it /rolls, and the highest roll wins. It's a super basic system. It doesn't require an add-on, it doesn't require anything additional. Even if you have pugs come in, they can kind of feel like they're getting loot type of thing. It can take a little bit longer to distribute loot. In a 10-man, it's not as a big deal. In a 25-man, it may take a little bit longer. But with the amount of trash that's in Siege of Orgrimmar right now, I don't think it's really that noticeable. I recommend if you do decide to do /roll, you need to have a set rules. Like maybe you can only win 1 tier piece a week. You can only win 1 piece of loot a week. In previous guilds that I've been in, we just did /roll. And then we also kind of discussed it afterwards. So if a tier piece dropped for me and say it would give me my 4 piece and my 4 piece was just freaking amazing, I would say something like, oh, that would give me my 4 piece and it's freaking amazing, basically what I just said. And then if someone else, maybe that didn't really give them anything, it was just a minor upgrade, they'd be like, oh yeah, you can have it, even if they won the roll. It kind of helps when you raid with people for a certain period of time, or if they're people that you know in real life, because there's not as much loot discrepancy and there's not as much QQing and all that stuff. And then the second loot system that we're going to talk about is EPGP, which I keep referring to as Egapebble because I'm weird, but it stands for effort points and gear points. And basically it is an award system, so you get points when you log on time, you get points for showing up to raid in general, you get points for killing bosses, you get points for whatever the raid leader wants to set for points, you get points for it. One benefit to this system is that the raid leader can also distribute points based on their own discrepancies. So say someone made a bunch of flasks for people, or they donated gold to the guild bank and the guild bank needed gold. They can be like, here, it's 50 EPGP points or whatever. It's also extremely customizable, so you can edit it to your liking for how many points people get for what. And basically, when a piece of loot drops, you basically just place a bid on it, and then the points that you placed on it, how many points that item cost is the points that you lose. So if you have 100 and the item costs 50 points, then you have 50. And everyone else that bid on it obviously didn't get it because they didn't have enough points or whatever. The one main issue with this loot system is new members may feel slightly left out because they're not going to have as many points as other people. Bob may have 1,000 points and Jan just joined, so she only has 50. But the one way to counteract that is by turning on the decay system, where it decays your points over a period of time, so that people that join later, they kind of eventually get a little bit even, which I think is fair because a lot of people will try to hoard points for certain items that they really want, and I just don't think that's really fair to other people, new or old raiders alike. This is the point system that my guild will be using. Since we have gone 25-man, we have not used it yet because we were waiting to have a good set roster of at least 20-ish people, so that it seemed a little bit more fair with the point system if we're still bringing in new people. So yeah. EPGP does require an add-on to run and use, and it makes it a little bit easier when it comes to rolling on things because you can still kind of keep clearing trash and everything kind of gets handled in the system itself. Number 3, another one is DKP, which stands for Dragon Kill Points. It's very similar to EPGP. You get points for raiding, for killing bosses and stuff. You can also implement the decay system in this add-on as well. You also have the same situation with people hoarding points. You can also implement a decay system. My old guild that I was in used DKP, and sometimes loot just wouldn't drop and you would end up having 10,000 points because of it. So I definitely recommend at least decaying it, maybe maybe every week or maybe like every couple of weeks or something. You can also use the add-on for this. There's various different versions of DKP. There's also something called GDKP, which a lot of guilds will run that have already cleared the content and bring in like pugs and stuff, where you basically bid gold for items instead, and then at the end of the raid, all of the gold that was given to the main person gets distributed against everybody. So it's definitely a good way to make some gold if you are interested in doing that. Number 4, there is a loot council. Now, a loot council gets a lot of hate for what I feel like would be obvious reasons. The benefit of this, basically what loot council is you have a group of people in the raid or council members that decide who gets the loot. So a piece of loot drops and they say, okay, well, this person's been with us since day 1, this person just joined last week, and, you know, this person, it would increase their DPS, so we'll just give it to them. Usually it's based off those factors. Sometimes it's not always. The problem with loot council is a lot of people feel like there's a lot of favoritism and bias, even if there isn't. So like if I was on loot council and my boyfriend or friend just so happened to be rolling on a piece and I gave it to the boyfriend or the friend, you know, people might think, oh, well, she gave it to them because of that reason. Even if that wasn't the reason, it's kind of the perception that people have with it. Loot council does work for guilds that are a lot more close-knit, and maybe there won't be as much bias, or people just aren't like freaking out about it. But those are just the main 4 that I know of and that I have somewhat used in the past. I've not used loot council, but I kind of used the version of slash roll and loot council, except everybody was on loot council. My previous guild used DKP, and my current one uses slash roll, but we are swapping to EPGP. Each loot system has its flaws, each loot system has its pros and its cons. Nothing is going to be perfect because we are human, and unfortunately humans are flawed. People will get upset over loot, even if there's nothing to get upset over. We actually had 2 people quit our 25-man guild because they were upset that certain pieces of loot didn't even drop. Like, they got just upset over it. You know, people assume 25-man equals all the loots, and that's not always the case. Just make sure, you know, and here are some tips for kind of letting people know your loot system. Just 4 quick tips. Number 1, make sure your loot system is known, whether it's to pugs or new members or what. Just let them know ahead of time. This is the loot system that we use. These are the rules. This is what's going to happen. Blah, 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 blah. Number 2, if people argue over loot, have something pre-designated for it. I ran an alt run in one of my old guilds back in Dragon Soul, and the first thing I told people was, if I hear anyone arguing over a loot, I don't care if it's a tier piece, I don't care if it's press and slot, I don't give a shit. If anybody argues over a loot, I will disenchant it and we will move on. That is how I will handle it. If you don't like it, you can leave. Or you can just act like adults and not act like 5-year-olds. And everyone was pretty much like, okay. My current raid leader actually said that in a raid one night, which I thought was funny. 3, try to keep things as fair as possible. And just try to remind people that it's freaking loot. It's a video game and it's loot. They drop every week. I mean, the same item might not drop every week, but getting upset over a piece of loot that's gonna get replaced in the next expansion is stupid and incompetent. Makes you look like a dumbass. I'm just saying. People quit over loot, then they quit over loot. It's no freaking loss at all to you. Just, once again, make sure your loot system's known. Pick a system based off, you know, if you have an established raid group already and you want to try a new raid system for loot, make sure everybody knows it and make sure everybody's familiar with it and kind of make sure everyone's okay with it, or at least the majority is okay with it. Don't be afraid to try new loot systems. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can go back to what you were using or you can try something else. Once again, people fight over loot. It happens. Move on, basically. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about any of the loot systems that I mentioned, or you kind of want to mention another one, please do so in the comment section below. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you have another rating video that you would like to see me cover, once again, let me know in the comment section below. I will talk to you guys later. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and all that stuff, and goodbye. Loot, kind of picking the right loot. What? I don't even know where I was in that sentence. And this I've literally been recording for like 5 seconds. Like, really? Really? Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I think the button's somewhere down there. Also, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment if you have anything you want to say, and be sure to check out my previous video. And again, don't forget to subscribe so that you can see the next video. Bye!